Simon had a birthday. We were all in Miami together. We hung out for the whole weekend to celebrate Simon's birthday. So much is going on in the world. Let's just try to show each other a little more love. And I really mean that from the bottom of my heart. It's a lot going on in the world. I'm already out here a husband still.
All right, guys, buckle up because we're diving headfirst into the juiciest drama of the century. So, remember how Falynn Goubadia has been throwing major shade at Porsha Williams, accusing her of snatching Simon from her? Well, hold on to your wigs because the tea just got scalding hot. It turns out Simon has been caught red-handed in a scandalous mess of fraud and illegal immigration issues. Yep, you heard that right. Simon might be saying goodbye to the US for good with a one-way ticket to deportation and a possible pit stop in prison. And let me tell you, Fallon is not holding back, honey. She's spilling all the tea and dragging Porsha through the mud. But how hilarious is Fallon's reaction? Grab your popcorn, folks, because this drama is just getting started and you won't want to miss a single second of it. But before we go, don't forget to subscribe. Now let's dive in. It seems like Fallon is having the last laugh in her messy situation with Porsha Williams and her husband Falynn Goubadia. Porsha and Simon are going through a tough time right now. In case you missed it, Simon's past crimes involving credit card fraud and immigration fraud have been exposed, and let me tell you, it's even messier than you can imagine. The recent revelations about him are truly shocking. While many might sympathize with Porsha for what she's going through, Fallon is not one of them. She not only lacks sympathy for Porsha, but is reveling in her pain. To Fallon, it's payback for what Porsha and Simon did to her in 2021. Back then, many fans and even Fallon's co-stars on Real Housewives of Atlanta warned Porsha that Simon wasn't the good guy she thought he was. But Porsha was too caught up in her emotions to listen. Now, she's probably regretting not heeding those warnings. Simon and Porsha first crossed paths while filming the show, but there's a twist. Simon was married to Fallon at the time. Not long before Simon and Fallon joined the show, Porsha had split from her baby daddy and then fiancé, Dennis McKinley. The reason? She discovered he had been cheating on her repeatedly, even when she was carrying their child. For those who might not recall the details, Porsha and Simon's first encounter happened while Simon was still married to Fallon. Fallon made her debut on the show in 2020 as a friend. Reports from that time describe Fallon as an Atlanta socialite, with her husband Simon Goubadia being wealthy, flaunting Bentleys and private jets. As for how Fallon fits into the group, she's currently friends with Porsha and Shima. The other ladies seem to like her, and she might even join the girls on their upcoming trip to the Carolinas. Fallon claimed that Simon had been the one pushing her to join the show, believing it would work wonders for her inner peace or something along those lines. This raised suspicions, considering that when you think of spiritual well-being, the Real Housewives franchise isn't exactly the first thing that comes to mind. I mean, the show is infamous for its drama and toxicity, so Simon's motivations make you wonder if he had his sights set on fame for himself. Money wasn't an issue for him, that's for sure. Anyway, Simon and Porsha began to grow closer during the show's filming. Even though Porsha claimed she was still trying to mend her heart after the dentist debacle, things took a sharp turn when Fallon and Simon quietly ended their marriage just a month after that season of Real Housewives of Atlanta hit the screens. Simon made it official with the divorce papers on January 15, 2021, citing the usual irreconcilable differences straight out of the celeb playbook. But barely a week later, he changed his tune, backpedaling and claiming he and Fallon were going to give love another shot, trying to work things out. However, it seems they didn't try too hard because just 5 days later, he was back with the divorce papers, stating that things hadn't changed a bit. But here's where it gets even more bizarre. While all this drama unfolded, Fallon was adamant that their marriage was still strong, dismissing rumors as miserable gossip. However, she couldn't hide from the truth forever. Simon eventually released a statement on Instagram confirming that they were no longer together, stating, "After a year and a half together, Fallon and I have made the mutual decision to end our marriage. Despite our willingness to be transparent, we respectfully ask for privacy at this time." The rapid back and forth between reconciliation and divorce left many scratching their heads. As soon as the news hit the airwaves, Porsha wasted no time sliding into Simon's DMs to offer him a shoulder to lean on. She spun a tale about hearing whispers that Fallon had been unfaithful, using this as her excuse for reaching out. But let's be real, it's a bit fishy. I mean, Fallon was supposed to be her friend, not Simon. Logically, you'd think she'd check in with Fallon first. However, Simon didn't hesitate. He immediately made moves on Porsha, already planning to meet up with her the next time he was in Atlanta. Porsha was game for the adventure, but she had one condition. She asked him for those divorce papers first to confirm he was done with Fallon. Simon sent them over and then sparks flew. In no time, Porsha was flaunting her new relationship to the world, proudly introducing her new man and conveniently wiping the slate clean on any friendship with Fallon. She wrote, "Our relationship began a month ago. Yes, we are crazy in love. I know it's fast, but we are living life each day to its fullest. For all of you who need facts, I get the optics, but Simon filed for divorce from a previous marriage in January. I had nothing to do with their divorce filing. That's between the two of them. Fallon and I are not friends, and Simon's divorce has been settled. Our relationship is a positive, loving step forward in everybody's lives." This statement didn't make any sense because Fallon was brought onto the show as Porsha's friend. But Porsha seemed unfazed by all that, claiming loyalty didn't mean a thing to her. Let me tell you, things started smelling fishy real quick. Porsha claims she slid into Simon's DMs the same day he announced the divorce, but then she announces they'd been an item for a whole month. I did the math, and it turns out there's only an 18-day gap between the divorce announcement and her big relationship reveal. Either my math ain't mathing, or Porsha was stretching the truth a little bit. Hold on to your hats because it gets even crazier. They weren't just dating. They were engaged 1 month in, and bam, there's a ring on it. Talk about moving at warp speed. But what's even shadier is that he was still legally married to Porsha's supposed friend. And you bet your bottom dollar it wasn't just the fans raising eyebrows. Marlo Hampton, another housewife on the show, wasn't shy about airing her thoughts in an Instagram live session. She straight up questioned if this whole thing was even legit. And honestly, can you blame her? You know, I didn't grow up with Porsha. Porsha's like, fine, I don't think that's real. But guess what? Good storyline. I just don't believe her. Coming from the household she was raised in, a Christian family, her grandfather, that she would go and do something like that. Because baby, if I ever brought out my man and she dated my man, that's like me dating Dennis now. Y'all know that reality TV is notorious for faking things for views and plotlines. So if a reality TV star is telling all that there's something off, then you'll better know that there was something really sus going on. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, Porsha supposedly swooping in on her friend's man. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. Simon's got a bit of a reputation, you see. Before Porsha came onto the scene, he'd already tied the knot 3 times and gotten divorced 3 times. And let's not forget the 5 kids he had with different women. Oh, and did I mention the whole cheating scandal? Yeah, he admitted that he has cheated on every single woman he has been with. And this has me thinking that he cheated on Fallon with Porsha. But that's just me. As you can imagine, Fallon wasn't exactly doing cartwheels over this mess. And who can blame her? Her husband dumped her and moved on with her friend in less than a month. If Fallon's feeling salty, I think she's justified. Plus, she brought the drama with the tea, so I can't be too mad, because you know I love the tea. For example, she claimed she never saw Porsha as the type of woman to steal someone's man. She said, "Do I feel like I trusted her enough? Sure, yeah. I didn't think she was the type of woman who would come in and plot on a woman's husband. I did not get that at all from her at that time." She also dropped a bombshell about Simon allegedly telling her while they were married that Porsha had slept with one of his cousins for a Rolls Royce. She said, "He told me she slept with his cousin for the Rolls Royce she has. I just don't understand how you filed for divorce from me for a woman you used to talk so much mess about and for someone who slept with someone from your family." Fans were super excited to see how this new storyline was going to play out in the new season of the show because, girl, we knew that Porsha was going to get dragged to filth by her castmates. She already had beef and tensions with a couple of people on the show, so you know it would have been on site. Porsha also knew that, and she chose not to put herself through the embarrassment, so she decided to leave the show before the new season premiered. However, she denied that she was leaving out of fear, claiming that she had already been planning her exit before the whole situation went down. She said, "I wasn't running away, and I don't think any of my followers who truly knew me would believe that I would run away from the show for that. I've dealt with a lot of harsh things on the show." She recalls to people, "I've been there at the beginning of every season to film with the camera on. So no, this had nothing to do with that." She also explained, I had already decided that it was time for me to step away at least 6 months before I told any of the executives what I was going to do, and long before I even met my now husband. She says, I was turning 40, I was hitting my 10-year mark on the show, and I just had to reassess where I was and what I wanted totally out of my life. So that's where that decision came from. In addition to the red flags waving left, right, and center, fans kept warning Porsha to tread carefully with Simon. But love's got that funny way of blinding folks, and Porsha was head over heels. Next thing you know, November 2022 rolls around, and bam, they're saying I do in not one but 2 blowout ceremonies. One in Nigeria, Simon's homeland, and another in the US. Fast forward a year and a half, and they're still going strong. Porsha's even spilled the beans that they're gunning for baby number 6 for Simon and baby number 2 for herself. Just when you think it's all roses and rainbows, Porsha dropped the bombshell that she's returning for another round of Real Housewives, but with a twist. She's going by her new married name, Porsha Goubadia, not Porsha Williams. Who said that Porsha Williams was coming back to Real Housewives of Atlanta? That's false. But Porsha Goubadia is in the building. See y'all. But before the show premiered, we were hit with a major bombshell. Her man, Simon, is in some deep water with the US government. And no, it's not just your run-of-the-mill regular trouble that can be fixed with a fine. I'm talking about potential deportation levels of drama, girl. The situation is so serious that he's very likely to be deported, even though he's married to an American citizen. And that's because we recently found out that he got his temporary residency through fraudulent means. This drama started in the 1980s, but it just came back to bite Simon in the butt. As Beyonce said, what goes around comes back around. Simon thought that he had left all his troubles behind, but oh no, Simon wasn't ready to let him off the hook. He has been applying for citizenship for a couple of years now, but recently, U.S. immigration hit him with a laundry list of charges that made getting U.S. citizenship look like winning the lottery. Court documents spilled the tea on his shady past. Turns out, Simon had been trying to get that naturalized citizenship more times than I can even count. But every time he tried, they shut him down faster than you can blink. Now let's rewind to Simon's wild days in the States. In August 1982, Simon touched down on American soil with a visitor's visa in hand. All was well until he decided to play the let's see how long I can stay game. Spoiler alert. Simon found himself in a sticky situation with U.S. immigration, an organization not known for leniency. Facing the looming threat of deportation, Simon decided to make a swift exit from the country in December 1985, a good 3.5 years after his visa had expired. However, Simon's resolve didn't last long, as just 6 months later, he was back in the U.S. on another visitor's visa, intending to stay for 6 months. Yet again, he overstayed his welcome. But Simon wasn't just a repeat visa offender. He also found himself embroiled in serious legal trouble. Involved in a scandalous bank and credit card debacle, he ended up facing the music. Surprisingly, Simon didn't try to dodge the consequences. He owned up to his actions, pleading guilty and accepting responsibility. Despite knowing the harsh stance of U.S. immigration and his desire for a long-term stay in the U.S., Simon seemed unable to steer clear of trouble. His track record only worsened over the next few years. In January 1989, he was arrested for unauthorized vehicle use, followed by another arrest in May 1990 for fraudulent activities. It seemed like trouble had a magnetic pull on Simon, leading him into a series of legal entanglements. His immigration file grew thicker with each offense, yet this didn't deter him from accumulating more felonies, almost as if he were collecting rare Pokémon cards. The situation escalated further when immigration authorities came knocking after the May 1990 incident, indicating that Simon's problems were far from over. His story reads like a gripping novel, with each chapter revealing new twists and turns in his tumultuous journey. Simon seemed to have a knack for getting into trouble, with each setback failing to deter him from his questionable actions. In January 1991, he found himself embroiled in yet another credit card fraud scheme, indicating that the lessons from his previous encounters with the law had not quite sunk in. As if that weren't enough, Simon hit a new low in April 1991 when an immigration judge ruled that he should be deported by March 1992. However, Simon had a few tricks up his sleeve. Unbeknownst to the government, Simon had applied to the Special Agricultural Worker (SA) program back in 1988, using a different name. Conveniently omitting his criminal history, Simon managed to secure a temporary resident permit through this program, which later transitioned to permanent resident status. The timing couldn't have been more perfect for him, as he received his permanent residency card in April 1992, just 3 weeks after being deported. Simon's return to the U.S. was a smooth one, and he lived undisturbed for over 2 decades. However, his attempt to apply for citizenship in December 2016 reignited the government's interest in his past. Whether Simon believed he had slipped under the radar or simply hoped for leniency, his application was swiftly rejected, highlighting his deceptive past. Undeterred, Simon made another attempt at naturalization in December 2020, perhaps feeling confident after his years of undetected residence. Despite making it to the interview stage, his application was once again denied due to his dubious permanent residency status, which had its roots in his deceptive entry into the SAW program years before. Simon's story serves as a cautionary tale about the consequences of dishonesty and deceit. Despite his efforts to start anew, his past continued to haunt him, ultimately preventing him from achieving his goal of becoming a U.S. citizen. Samuel wasn't about to throw in the towel just yet. In October 2022, just a month before tying the knot with Porsha, Simon took his case back to court, hoping to challenge the denial of his naturalization. However, the government remained steadfast, refusing to back down. Undeterred, Simon persisted. In March 2023, he made another attempt to overturn the denial and secure his citizenship. Yet again, his efforts were met with a resounding rejection from the government. One might wonder if Simon had skimped on hiring an immigration lawyer, or if his legal team was simply inept, as the whole ordeal seemed like a disaster waiting to happen. When aiming for citizenship, one should anticipate intense scrutiny of their residency history. It's no surprise that the government uncovered Simon's identity switch and his dishonesty regarding his criminal record. With deportation looming ominously, Simon's American dream had turned into a nightmare. As if Simon's predicament wasn't enough drama for a lifetime, Porsha was also deeply affected by the situation. Rumor has it that she was devastated by the turn of events. Just when the couple was discussing starting a family, this bombshell dropped, casting a shadow over their future. With the Real Housewives drama brewing and Porsha potentially becoming a target for the other ladies, she certainly didn't need any additional ammunition. Simon's story serves as a stark reminder of the consequences of deception and dishonesty. Despite his best efforts, his past caught up with him, jeopardizing his chances of achieving his dream of becoming a U.S. citizen and impacting those closest to him. It seems like Fallyn isn't willing to wait long before taking a jab at Porsha, as she's more than ready to do so now. Fallyn is still bitter because she believes that Porsha stole Simon from her. She thinks that Porsha is the reason Simon didn't put any effort into fixing their marriage, even after they both agreed to give it another shot. According to an insider, Fallyn sees this as karma's way of getting back at Simon and Porsha, and she's not going to stand in karma's way. The insider claims that Fallyn has been mocking Porsha, suggesting that either Simon goes to jail for fraud or he gets deported. Either way, it seems like Porsha is about to find herself single again. Fans have been quick to comment on the situation, with some pointing out that Porsha was in a relationship with another woman's husband when she started seeing Simon. They question why she's so blind to Simon's alleged fraudulent activities. The whole situation seems suspicious to them, and they're wondering why everyone is acting surprised about Simon's behavior. Fallyn, on the other hand, finds the whole situation quite amusing, as she sees karma playing out exactly as she predicted. What do you think about Fallyn's hilarious reaction to Porsha and Simon? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And then take a look at the next video if you don't know that Simon's deportation just got real. Porsha hires Jeannie Mae's divorce attorney. And don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next video.